guys, so this is Tim, back again with another video, and I already sort of covered this topic before in a different way, but I thought it was relevant to record this video again because I saw a lot of people on the Houdini Facebook discussing fluid UVs, and then my tutorial that I previously recorded about seamless UVs on Flip was posted a lot, and people said, well, we had some issues with like emitting stuff because you get like seams and stuff. And this technique was mainly used for like if you have an object with UVs to sort of, for example, you want to melt it and then keep the UVs. But if you want to just emit fluid and then stick textures on it later, you can actually do it a little bit more straightforward. So I thought I'd make this video to sort of show just a straightforward way to do this, because a lot of the other steps that are done here are irrelevant when you just want to emit fluids. And then we'll end up with a cool result. So yeah, you can see UV being stuck on the thing. And if I just look at this one, you can see it actually looks like there's quite a bit of detail on this, but that's actually not from the simulation, because if I go over here, you can see there's actually not that much detail in my sim. This actually comes from the displacement. So if I press render, so actually the color and all that stuff comes from the material. So if I go back to the scene, if I go to paint, you can see actually all of that stuff just comes from the material. And a lot of the detail comes from displacement, which is also from the material. By the way, I can increase the displacement maybe just over here if I want. So let's say if I make this higher, takes a while probably, you can see it displaces out further. So a lot of the detail was done with the displacement. So if I turn this off, you can see all of the detail was gone. And then when I add it again, you can see we get this very nice paint detail. So anyway, so I want to go in this, and you can see there's still a little bit of jittering in this. I saw this after I rendered. But to get rid of jittering completely, it just depends on how high resolution your sim is. So this is pretty stable up until the box comes through. So I guess if I were to up the resolution even more, then that would probably be gone. Just so you know that that's how you get rid of like jitters. Just get a very high resolution simulation. All right, so let's dive into how this works. It's actually quite simple, very similar to the other video. All right, so let's just make a top network. And I'm going to make that one my active because I already have one. Then I'm going to make a ground plane like that. Now let's make an emitter. Let's make a sphere. Let's go into this, maybe already call it emitter. Into the sphere, make it a little bit smaller. Now let's make a transform. Use the transform to move it up and maybe back a little bit. Now let's keyframe this. So Alt and then click, and move forward and move it like that and click. Right. Now let's right click in this and maybe do some motion effects to do it a little bit more interesting. So motion effect, like this will just add on top of the animated keys. This uses jobs. So this is a bit too fast. So let's increase the period. Something like that. It's already more interesting. Right. Now let's use the emitter to emit some fluids. So let's go to particle fluids. Let's go back and press emit particle fluid. Emit fluid into, just going to use the shelf tools for this. Let's make a gravity force because we want our fluid to fall down. Let's press play. We probably need more resolution, so let's make it 0.05. And you can see this is super thin, so we probably need some viscosity. So let's enable viscosity on our solver. So let's go to volume, motion, viscosity, enable viscosity, and viscosity by attribute. So we don't have viscosity attribute yet, so this is not going to do anything. So let's create our viscosity attribute. Let's go up, let's go to our emitter, and let's create it over here. Let's make an attribute wrangle. And type f viscosity equals, let's just try 100. So look, and you can see that works. All right, so it's probably not that interesting yet. So maybe you wanna make this a little bit more random. All right, so how can we do that? Well, for example, what we could do is we could use a cluster. So let's make a cluster. Let's put it down like that. Right. So when we highlight the cluster and go to geometry spreadsheet, you can see we have a cluster attribute. You can see we have 10 clusters. If we make, let's say if we make 6, then we make it 6 clusters from 0 to 5. Now we can use this cluster. And by the way, we can visualize this if we want. Maybe let's have a look at that. So if we just do a add and then delete geometry, let's increase our voxel size. Let's just maybe do it like this. Right, so let's have a look at this. So we can visualize, and we're just doing the add here. So it just deletes the ISO surface. Let's do color. Just ramp from attribute and type cluster. I think it's called. Let's see, this is cluster. Let's do random from attribute maybe cluster. And this is not doing anything yet. Let's see why. Okay, that does seem to work. Oh, okay. For some reason, our viewport was just doing weird. Anyways, you can see whenever we get this cluster. So this is essentially what a Voronoi also does. So if we increase this, you can see we get more clusters. And what we can do is then say that we want to generate a random value for each of these clusters. So if we remove this and just type float rand equals random based on cluster. If you don't know any of these fax codes and stuff like that, and so if you're like relatively new to Houdini, I recommend checking out Houdini 101. This is my Houdini beginner course, and that covers a lot of those stuff like generating attributes. You can start watching that on my YouTube channel. There's a playlist. So the first couple of episodes are free. I release one every couple of days. You can already watch the entire thing on my website. So link for that will be in the description as well. So anyway, so if you have trouble with just simple fax wrangles like this and declaring attributes, maybe check out Houdini 101. That should really help you with that. Anyway, so let's use this random value to set our viscosity. Right. So let's say f at viscosity. So because we want to be a float equals we should viscosity equals fit 0, 1, because this generates something between 0 and 1. Or you want to fit rand, and you want to fit it between maybe a slider min and a slider max. Need another bracket. Now let's say maybe between 10 and 100. If we want to make it super extreme to just see what it does, we could do something like this. Just have a look. Let's make it a little bit more obvious. Let's just do 3 clusters. Do it between 0. Let's do 500. Let's see what this looks like. Just looking for one cluster. I want one cluster to be very low, but yeah, you can see. So this, you can see one little piece sploshing away. So that one probably has very low viscosity. So if we just look in the spreadsheet, you can see our viscosity. One cluster has 1.4 and one has 400. So anyway, let's just up it a little bit, and yes, I guess let's do it between 3 and 250. Anyway. All right, so just so we have a very simple simulation, I guess we could decrease the resolution a little bit, so it's just a little bit faster. Right. So now what we need to do is we're not going to get a UV. What we're going to do is we're going to create a rest. So we're going to use rest, and I know the flip solver has a create dual rest on the, where is it? I think it's on particle motion. It has dual rest attribute. I haven't really had a lot of luck with this. It just resets the thing, and I'm not sure what, like, I have gotten better results just creating my own rest attribute, not using dual rest, just doing it myself. Could be that I'm just doing something wrong here, but I have gotten better results just making my own rest attribute. What I want to do is I want to create a rest attribute after my transformation. So it will actually be the rest will animate. So I don't want it to do it on here statically. I do want my rest to sort of be like animated through. So it's going to be created after this thing. So it will be created after this. And then we need to make sure that we go into our flip solver. We want, so rest needs to be interpolated. We could probably increase oversampling so it fills up the gaps. All right, now we get a rest attribute. Let's just go into our particle fluid. Let's just check the surface. So this creates the surface. Let's put it to polygons. Just turn off adaptivity. And let's see, does this still... I want to keep my rest attribute, so this one has... Oh, wait, I need to put when I go back, the rest should of course be after the create surface, because else it will just remove it, because it doesn't carry over to create, it creates the points. So now I should have rest on here. Now when I go over here to my particle fluid and I press play, I should have rest on my, you can see we have a rest, positions, and then those should also transfer into the fluid. So you can see rest. Right, so we can use those to render. Let's preview this rest attribute by just writing it out as a UV attribute. So what we can do is just, if we say triangle, just to test it out. You could also use it as a UV like that, but so just say v at UV equals at rest. Let's use a UV quick shade. Right. So now we're just previewing our UV quick shade. Right, so that seems to work. Right, now let's go into how you would render something like this. So let's just make a camera. Let me make a new camera. Let's make a pop network. I'm gonna do it with Redshift, but again, you could do this with whatever render engine you want. I'm going to say particle fluid. And I guess we can also do the ground plane. Let's make a material network. Let's make a redshift material builder. Material. Let's assign our material to our fluid. That. All right. Now let's assign a texture. Just to test it out. So by default, this will of course not work. So let's go to right. Let's just have a look at it. What was my rob called? Probably rob tree. No. Let's just give it a name. Tutorial like that. Let's go into a render view. Tutorial. Let's have a look. All right, so this obviously doesn't really work. So what do we want to do? So what we want to do is we want to go into the material network, go in here, and what we want to use is a triplanar. Redshift triplanar, let's put it in between. So triplanar, so let me just press render. You can see this works, but what we will get, I need to turn on the sub-level mesh updates. Let's press render again. So you can see the fluid now moves through the texture space, which is not what we want. What we need to do is we need to tell it to use a reference space. So the reference space is the rest position that we just used, that we made. So now it will use the triplanar mapping based on the reference rest position. And that's basically it. So it's quite simple. And again, like I already showed you as well in the, go back. You could also alternatively just use it as a, if you don't want to, like, if you don't want to use triplanar, you could also just say v@uv equals at rest. And go into your material, you can delete the triplanar. And you see now it's using the UVs. So it's quite quite simple technique. And you can use this to map anything. You can use this to map the displacement like I did before, and whatever you want to do. But this should work quite well with just emitting stuff. So again, no need to overcomplicate some of these stuff that I did over here, because again, this was really meant for something that has that has UVs. So there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you need to take into account. But for just general emission, I think just choosing rest positions like the way I showed you is perfectly fine. And again, you could also write it out as UVs if you want to do that. But I'm just going to put it back to reference. Right, so that was the entire thing. Again, you can download the entire scene file, so just the thing that I made right now, but that also includes my render scene, which has some extra stuff like, well, of course, the sim itself is much higher resolution. There's some extra stuff, just some random killing of isolated points. Well, anyway, you can download the scene if you want to look through that. Or this scene will be available for Patreon supporters, and it will be on Gumroad. So if you're interested in that, you can download it. Link in the description. And as always, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you want to stay notified for other videos that I put out. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. I have a lot of other cool stuff coming up. So again, make sure to subscribe if you want to stay up with that. So yeah, hope you liked this video, and until next time, guys, peace.